Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight. You guys have it, I thought. Afternoon delight.
It's time for Pucknology. Pucknology. After dark. Oh my.
And with that, welcome to another exciting edition of Sharks. Well, the Sharks won, but it's Pucknology After Dark Afternoon Delight style. Will be joined by our panel and our guest in just a second. However, you know the drill. If you want to be a part of the show, come on, graphic, work with me here. There we go. Use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. Use that to ask questions or comment along the way. You can follow all of us on Twitter. @Pucknology is the main Twitter handle. You can tweet us personally @Puckeye14, @Eric Landy, @IrePucknology, and @Hunter. Yes, there's more on that in just a second. Let me introduce everybody on the panel today. We have IrePucknology, otherwise known as Ian Reed.
Hey everybody, how you doing today?
The Master Control Director-ish, Eric Landy.
Howdy, people. How you guys doing?
And our special guest, broadcasting student, future talk show host, phenom, and lifelong Sharks fan, Randall Hahn.
Hey everybody. Like you said, my name's Randall. I'm the son of play-by-play broadcaster Randy Hahn for the Sharks. I worked in the Sharks locker room between 8th grade and senior year, so that was between 2006, 2007 till 2011 season. So essentially every single home game I was in the away locker room getting the bench prepared, just basically getting the away team in and out of the building.
Nice. And we'll go and touch up on a couple of things you were talking about before the show in a little bit. But first, let's talk about today's game. Sharks win 4-3 over the Colorado Avalanche. They get a much-needed win on the end of the back-to-back afternoon road trip after a tough loss in Dallas. I will begin with Ian. Good afternoon to you, sir. Your initial thoughts after today's game?
My initial thoughts are that this team is very mediocre right now. I mean, obviously I'll take any win I can get, but I thought that, I thought that we played well enough, but we couldn't hold a lead to save our lives until the very end, and I don't know, it's still a lot of things that I'm concerned about going forward.
Got it. Landy, afternoon to you, sir. Yes, we got a victory, but it's not like they dominated this one.
No, and you know what? I mean, there's still a lot of concerning things about this team right now. We looked at special teams, and we've been saying that special teams are a big deal. They're still out of sync, but there are some good signs, and we'll get into it in a little bit. But yeah, like I said, we got to toe that line until Couture gets back. We're doing it. So we're one game above 500, so that's good.
It's good, but maybe not good enough at the moment. Randall, afternoon to you, sir. What do you take out of today's victory?
It wasn't a very well-played game on offensive or defensive. Obviously, Jones, I think, at least for me, he has exceeded any expectation I had going into the season, and I think that's the best news that we can take out of a game like this, is that he is playing the type of hockey he is. And as soon as our offense can kind of get into a groove and get a flow and get some pucks in the net, I think we can be confident with who we have in net to secure a lead if we can get one. But I think winning today's game is huge, just back-to-back, both on the road, just so we can be above 500 coming back home. I think if this team can play 500 hockey for the duration of Couture's injury, this team can kind of start to get a flow and get a feel for one each other, and Rafi's going to be coming back around that time, and this team could have a pretty good push going into the playoffs.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, we have to have some leeway with Couture being out, and even with Rafi being out. There's always the there's always going to be a little bit of a downplay per se. But I like to see how Coach DeBoer is keeping all the lines together, kind of building that chemistry along the way. I'll throw this to any of you guys. Do you like it, or would you rather see some move around? We talked about it yesterday about maybe taking Pavelski down to a second line center. Years back before was out.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like Hurdle took a big step tonight. He looked pretty good, really kind of solidifying that second line center spot. I still feel like Tierney is still creating that chemistry with Wingles and Nieto like that he had, but it's still kind of a work in progress for me. Right now, I think that second line is starting to finally click. Now, we also got to remember, too, the competition from Colorado is not as high. So, you think about them going against an Anaheim or a
Los Angeles.
Dallas or an LA, and you have Hurdle trotting out there as a second line center. That's not good, especially if he's got to play against like a Kopitar or a in Anaheim's case, a Getzlaf.
The guy who tore his ACL, Dustin Brown.
Yeah, so yeah, that does kind of concern me, but you do see his confidence growing day by day. You do see him really solidifying that second line right now, and that's good because when Couture gets back, that's just going to be more confidence for that kid. And like we've all been saying, a 180 from last year as far as play and effort and the way he is playing. So it's good to see.
Yeah, so going into this coaching change, I had no idea really who DeBoer was. I knew that he had coached the Devils to a cup run, and in my opinion, I thought that this team, what they really needed was a coach to kind of kick their ass. I felt like the Sharks have always been this team who nobody's really feared. They've never really intimidated anybody, especially physically wise. And I thought Tortorella was going to get the job, honestly, because I thought he was going to be the guy to just kick them in the ass. And then, when DeBoer got hired, everything that I've read from any former player or player that has been associated with him has said he's a player's coach. And I think that that's a common thing that they're saying is a good sign that these players like who their coach is and they respect him. And I don't think he's just a puppet for Doug Wilson. I don't think Doug Wilson's calling the shots in this locker room where he might have been when McClellan was coaching.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I wrote yesterday I'd kind of like to see some of the line. It's not even that I'd like to see lineup changes. I'd just like to see smarter lineup decisions. Like, I'm still kind of miffed that we, thankfully had Jones in net today, but, starting Jones over Stalock yesterday, just like they did when we played the Devils and they played Jones and then they put Stalock in against the Islanders, like, the decisions like that are really bothering me about Peter DeBoer right now. And also just he likes to, where he kind of top-loaded the top two lines a little bit and then left our fourth line was basically an AHL line playing 10 minutes a game, and that's just, that's frustrating to watch too.
Yeah, I had that in my notes today that fourth line is still hot garbage. I mean, Lurg as a center is not a good deal because that line it always gets pushed around. They're always in their own end, and it's just like Keystone Cops back there.
So personally, with the whole playing Stalock instead of Jones, I think what LeBoer is doing there was kind of speculation of there being possibly a goaltending battle for this spot on this team, and I think he's showing that when it comes down to these games where it means a little bit more than maybe some other team, that Stalock isn't the guy to be in net, and that Jones is the guy, just to kind of any speculation from higher ups and general manager maybe that Stalock isn't the guy.
Well, so then why did Stalock play against Dallas?
I really didn't get that one at all. I mean, in all sense, it's the guy we just got for the guy we just traded away. Why not? It didn't make sense to me. Yeah. I understood the New Jersey one though.
No, I agree. But you look at the competition, and I think we were all a little kind of confused. Why would you play Stalock versus Dallas and you play Jones tonight? It ended up being kind of just a not a track meet, but very frantic pace to the game. I felt like neither team really had their stamp on the game. felt it was just kind of one team would have the flow for a little while, one team would have the flow for a little while, and it just seems like both of these teams were just you could see they're lethargic a little bit.
And Jones stood on his head against Nashville. I mean, Rene's just arguably the best goalie in the league, and Jones had a great game that game as well, so it didn't make sense that he didn't get the next game.
And Rene is a stone cold shark killer. But yeah, I mean, I agree. The thing with the thing with Stalock though is like eventually Stalock's gonna have to play some games for the Sharks. So I don't know why they're so intent. Sorry, my dog being a dork here. I don't know why they're so intent on destroying his confidence against like the best offensive teams in the league. Like, wouldn't you like? We need to ease him back in. We need to rebuild Stalock's confidence because after that game in Dallas, he clearly didn't have it. And you know, putting him in. If they keep doing this to him, I don't know what they're going to do because I don't think Jones can play, you know, the anti-Niemi 70 game special.
Or
at least not now.
Further. Well, and even go further because, you know, Jones hasn't played a full season. You don't want to throw him in like the Sharks did with Urbe and play 74 games
That's
out
right.
of the year.
Yeah.
You're just going to get him tired. And if you do make the playoffs, that's not going to help you at all.
I think Stalock's not a future of this team. I think we have enough guys down in our system right now because Nabokov's the new goalie coach too as well. I don't think Nabokov likes Stalock too much, and I think that we have enough guys that are interesting and good enough. We have at least 2 or 3 guys down in our system right now that could potentially be a backup for this team in the future, and I don't think Stalock's going to have a future much longer because I think some team could actually use him along the line down the future.
Yeah, and I thought... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Derek. Last year we picked up an interesting guy. His name is Aaron Dell, and he put up some good numbers last year for Worcester, and still continuing to play pretty good this year. So he was kind of an interesting candidate to me. And you know, keep Grosnick as a number one, the bona fide number one down there, and bring up Dell, and see if there's anybody who might take Stalock on a flyer. I mean, he's going to be a free agent next year. Maybe try and offload him for, I don't know, like a 7th or a 6th. I have no idea, but it just seems like he's not able to take that backup role because he just needs steady playing time.
The other thing, too, is the important thing to remember is that Grosnick's deal becomes a one-way deal next year, so I feel like the writing's on the wall for Stalock as it is.
Yeah, it's almost like he's got to showcase himself already in order to give himself any type of value next season. It's really do or die, and he's got to take his game to the next level for it.
I think the one thing that's pretty evident, though, is that Dean Lombardi sure knows how to draft and find a goalie out of a pot of gold. I mean, every single guy he's drafted or gone after as a general manager has been just an absolute stud. And, you know, the one thing I can just feel good about is that they did not want Jones to come to us. That's why they trade him to the Devils. And then we get him. It just kind of feels like what Kiprusoff move did to us. And I'm interested to see how it's going to play out.
And see, you just brought up a great point. Is Doug Wilson a little gun-shy about trading his backup goaltender, especially within the conference after what happened with Kipper?
To me though, it's you've got to look at the fact that Stalock needs that playing time, right? I mean, we've all said that if he comes in just as a cold backup, he's not good in that role. We saw him last year where he had that timeshare at the beginning of the year with Niemi, and he was playing good because he was getting regular reps, regular playing time, and he was going good. But when you do these, you know, he's got to play a back-to-back, and that's the only time he's gotten in so far. He's a marginal goaltender at best. So you got to look at a team that's, okay, we need a backup. We need somebody, you know, who could fill in a spot start here and there. And if it's in the Western Conference, then so be it. But you don't trade him to a place that's looking at him as a number one, because then that's where you might be able to see him bite the Sharks in the butt. Because if he gets that regular playing time, he could be a good goaltender in this league.
But there's really nothing in Stalock's history that points to him being a starting goalie. He's a 1B at best.
I mean, that Kiprusoff, we had Nabby, Toskala, and Kiprusoff, all number one guys, and Toskala outplayed Kipper, and that kind of came out of nowhere. We didn't really expect that. I mean, we didn't expect Calgary to beat us in the conference finals. I mean, jeez.
Oh gosh, the worst line change in NHL history in Game One, that overtime, still haunts me to this day.
Ugh.
Oh gosh. Let's continue on with our breakdown of the game. They've had some times when they play back to backs, especially on the road, that they would be very fatigued uh, late in the game of the second game. It seems like they were doing a lot more. Um, they still had their feet with them today in the third period. Uh, what are your thoughts? Maybe that their conditioning has been getting better. Um,
I'll just take this. I just think they're playing a more aggressive game, and that's maybe why they've been kind of been showing a little bit more fatigue in the third period. I mean, they are putting a lot more pressure on the handler nowadays. I mean, back last season, even the guy who's having the puck, he's getting a little bit more room than what he's getting now. Sticks getting in the lane, putting a body on the guy when maybe we would have just turned away. So in the third period, we are going to be a little bit more tired. I think this last road trip even. We had a game on Thursday against Nashville, 2 days off, or not 2 days, but then we play Saturday, Sunday on the road. Those day games are kind of weird, and your body's not used to that. And so if it's going to be an abnormal game, whether you're more tired than usual, maybe you have a little bit more energy than usual, it's just kind of one of those games where it could just be a wild card.
Yeah, but you look at today's game and you saw Burns make that push to get that goal very late with 1 minute and 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
And that wasn't something that was very evident in the Sharks game in that 4-game losing streak. So I do think that for whatever reason their mental fatigue wasn't playing a factor tonight because they did push late and I think, like I said, they looked a little lethargic at the beginning, but that really kind of came on at the very, very end. I mean, at the beginning of that third period, it wasn't good at all, but really kind of just weathered it a little bit and came back. So that's good to see. But I'm not liking these defensive lapses that they're making in their own zone, especially on the back end by the defense core. I saw Tennyson make another blind pass through the neutral zone and get picked off, and it's just like, boy, he can't be making these.
Yeah, and if you think about it, though, this team had two separate goals that Colorado scored that was immediately after a big goal we score to take the lead, and then an empty netter, which kind of seals it. And then, that's more mental than anything. You're in this mindset where you just scored, you're a little bit confident, but then the other team goes out there and scores on you right away. Those are the goals that hurt more than anything.
Yeah, it's almost in a way, it's almost like those proverbial cliche. A goal late in the period kind of gets you out of your head and lose your confidence that you got on a big goal. About special teams, this team has scored back-to-back games. They've scored shorthanded goals. Is it about taking chances, or more so becoming a little more confident in their penalty kill game that's allowing them to take these breaks?
Oh boy, their penalty kill is not good right now.
No. I think. I mean, but the shorthanded goals, I think there's some chemistry being formed there. I mean, this again goes back to Logan Couture being injured. He usually eats up so many of these specialty minutes that, and plays a vital role on both the kill and the power play. So I mean, the fact that we're getting anything out of the special teams at this point, finally, I'll take, even though it's not good enough.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think there's a very big drop-off between players that are top elite players and players that are kind of, just average run-of-the-mill third liners. And I think with this team, there's not that one player who's going to step up and fill that role with Couture. I mean, Joe Ward, as well he's been playing, he's not an elite guy for a team. He's not a player that, is dependent to score every game, where Couture, he's expected to put up big points. And after Marleau, Thornton, Pavelski, Couture, there's not really another forward that we have right now that we could say he's going to go out there and get a point in a big moment.
Yeah, I feel like Ward is actually coming along now. I feel like he's kind of a late bloomer.
Oh yeah.
And so I think he's going to follow a similar trajectory as Pavelski, where I think you'll see an increased point production when he's playing with Marleau and whoever centering that second line, because I think he's just playing with better teammates at this point. So I think we can expect some big things from him this year.
But at the same time, which is great for Ward, you got to start getting a little bit concerned here for the guys that are on Schneid's. I mean, Marlowe is now goalless in his last 7 games. Hurdle is gone goalless in his last 8. Donskoy hasn't scored anything since he took the puck off of his rear end for his first NHL goal. Tierney is goalless in his last 8 now.
Wingles has 1 goal.
And Wingles has 1 goal. I mean, yeah. See, you're banking on your top 9. I know we usually talk about the top 6, but you're banking on your top 9 to have the primary and secondary scoring, and it's just you can't rely on Joe Pavelski. And if you remember the Nashville game, he was just getting cross-checked and getting harassed in the front of the net and in the slot. You can't bank on just the big guys doing it. Everybody's got to contribute like they did early on in the season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't know. I think it's indicative of the fact that people are being slotted one tier above where they're supposed to be, right? So we talked about this, and we talked about the quality of competition Hurdle was facing at the beginning of the year to now. You're talking about the quality of competition Tierney was playing against to now. And these guys have basically have to learn on the fly here, and it's pretty hard to do that in the NHL, and especially when you've got second lines that have been together for a long time, second line centers that are elite in this league, and you're asking second-year, third-year players to play against these guys. Of course their production's going to be dropped off. I mean, I think that's the name of the game, and like I said, that's why I don't like the fact that DeBoer is very unwilling to break up that Pavelski-Thornton couple, because I think that right now, if you redeployed those forwards in their natural positions as far as line on what line they're supposed to be, I feel like you solve some of that scoring depth problems.
But I also sorry, Randall, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, especially with Couture injured, I think Thornton and Pavelski are the best playmakers that we have on the ice right now. Marlowe, and he's more the speed guy who kind of can get to the spots, get the puck. But the guys that are going to control the play, Pavelski and Thornton, I think they should be on separate lines, which I agree. And Thornton isn't a second line guy, so Pavelski really should go on that second line. But Pavelski's not one of the faster guys on the ice, so he needs to have a little speed with him. And bottom line, guys like Tommy Wingles, Matt Nieto, they're not guys like Chicago had Christopher Stieg, Brandon Saad, Andrew Shaw. Like, these guys are second, third, maybe even some fourth liners who played pivotal roles on their team in playoff runs and scored big goals, and we don't have guys like that.
Yeah, I don't think that it's that we don't have them. I just think they're a little miscast. And right now I think the one sore spot that I see very miscast is Donskoy. I think that Donskoy showed all of this potential at the very beginning, kind of lopped off a little bit, and now he's in this weird, puck retrieval, trying to get it to Pavelski or Thornton all the time and not taking shots. Trying to get to the middle, but just getting outmatched. So I think, if anything, I think it's time for Ward to go up with Jumbo, in my opinion. But that's me. That's what I think.
They would need to have Marlowe to get some speed up there, though, because that would be a really slow line for a number 1 without Marlowe.
Yeah, I mean, a Ward and maybe a Wingles. That's what I kind of had saying, was a Ward, a Wingles, because Wingles is pretty fast, and you pair him with Thornton. You've got Wingles, who's got a pretty good shot, and you got Ward, who's a good grinder kind of guy, and then you put Pavelski in that second hole with like a Marlowe and a Nieto, so you got 2 speed guys with a Pavelski who's not as fast. Then you've got Hurdle, playing with a Gaudreau and maybe a Smith or something like that, and then you have Tierney playing with whoever.
I mean, Vlasic has more shots right now than Wingles does. Wingles has 19 shots, 1 goal, 4 points, and I think until Wingles can prove that his shot can either get on net or actually take some or get a goal, I don't think he should be paired up on a first line.
At the same time, are we kind of implying that Tommy Wingles has been literally trying to take Joe Thornton's game? Shoot the puck! Ian, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I don't mind like Donskoy on the top line, but I agree like he just can't be there to be like the bulldog trying to retrieve, try to get the ball for everyone else, right? Like he needs to play more of a be a more complementary player on that line than just this guy that just kind of goes out there and gets the puck so that Joe and Joe can do their thing. That's
Right.
my opinion. Like I just if he played a little bit differently, it's fine. But I'd like to. I'm kind of torn because actually I think I kind of liked Goldobin up there a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Yeah, at least Goldobin took shots, right? And I mean, you could see him going to like the slot. You could see him making those goal scorer kind of moves, and really kind of showed some natural ability. His timing is still not there, but I agree. I think he's just a little bit more of a natural scorer than Donskoy is.
yeah. I'm just not sold on Donskoy myself. It just seems like it's not clicking just yet, and maybe you try it on the second line. Replace him with Marlowe. Maybe go Marlowe and Thornton together, and if you do move Pavelski down, maybe put Marlowe, Ward, and Thornton together and see how that works. And something's got to give. I mean, yes, we won our game today. However, you're still winning, these tight games, and the scoring needs to come from all over the place. So let's move on, gentlemen. We will go. With the standings, we now move into into the number 3 spot in the Pacific, with Vancouver and LA right above us at the moment, as they're both tied for 14 points. Although LA has the Rose, Sharks don't have too much of a give. Arizona's only 1 point behind us, and they're idle today. Shocking that Edmonton lost last night to Calgary, and which makes Colorado and Calgary right up in there. And we won't talk about Anaheim or what their problems is because we're enjoying it too much.
Yeah, something interesting to look at. You look at the goals against, and San Jose has creeped up quite a bit. You look at Anaheim, who's the worst in our division, and they've only given up 27 goals. We've given up one more goal than they have, and it's very surprising to see that. Well, it's interesting to see it. It's not surprising because I think with all these defensive miscues and defensemen out of position and things like that, I think you're going to see that, and that's reflected in our goal scoring. And people have been kind of crying like, oh, where'd the goal scoring go? Where'd the goal scoring go? And we've got 31 goals, which is pretty good. So it's interesting. I think it's pretty indicative that this defensive system needs to tighten up a little bit more because right now they're just not keeping the puck out of the net. And it's also one to note that we've got more wins than Vancouver does at this point. Vancouver's only got 5 wins and 4 rows. So all you got to do is just grab another win and hopefully get a Vancouver loss, and we'll leapfrog them.
I think the most surprising team right now has to be Dallas, though. I don't think anybody saw them coming out going 9-2 to start the season off. And personally, I thought Jamie Benn was maybe a little bit of a fluke last year for the Rocket Richard. Tyler Seguin, he is a great player, and I kind of maybe underestimated Jamie Benn a little bit. He already has 9 goals.
Right, and you throw in the power play with Spezza and
Sharp.
Dallas and Sharp.
yeah.
Thank you. It's been ridiculous. Heck, you can even talk about Demers, having a little bit of help. We got that short-handed goal last week against. It's all coming together for Dallas. However, Dallas has given up more goals than the Sharks have. In fact, Sharks are tied with Winnipeg for the 5th fewest in the West.
Bottom line, I don't think Niemi is a everyday solid number 1 starter in this league. His rookie year with the Chicago Blackhawks, that team had arguably the best defensive core that a cup-winning team has had in years. And, they just needed somebody average back there to be goalie, and that's been evident in all their cup wins. They've never had a Vezina-quality goalie back there saving them. They have Keith and Seabrook, Duya. They have 4 or 5 guys that could be a top 2 defenseman on any team. And Dallas right now, if they're unsure about who's going to be in between the pipes and, they're not confident that this goalie is going to stand on his head for this team. Where I think that's clear in this team. Where I'm a lot more confident with the Jones every game. Just he looks more solid, and Niemi never had that.
Yeah.
I think the thing with Dallas though is this is a team I had in the playoffs. I don't think I had them, dominating the West, but I definitely saw them as a playoff team. The thing with Niemi is Niemi lets them they can play Niemi. They know what they're going to get with Niemi, and they don't have to ride Kari Lehtinen, who has all kinds of injury history. So I think that's a big part of the appeal to having Niemi there, because you know what you get with Niemi. Niemi's an average NHL goalie. And Kari Lehtinen for streaks, not all the time, but he can get hot, and when he gets hot, he is lights out. So if they can get Niemi to get them into the playoffs and get Lehtinen hot in the playoffs, they might actually do something with it.
So we got some tweets coming in real quick. We got Slushy Jake, who's always a favorite on the show, always sending something in. He's got some line combos that are kind of interesting. He's got Marlowe with Jumbo and Ward. You've got Nieto with Pavs and Wingles. You've got Donskoy, Tierney, Hurdle, Gaudreau, Smith, and Brown. So if it were me, I would probably take Hurdle and make him the center of that third line, shift Tierney to the fourth line, and bring Smith up in Tierney's place and have Hurdle center of the line. So that's a good idea, and I think that's kind of where we're all. Some of us are kind of gelling on the idea of Pavs being a second line center, and we also got Generation X-Wing, another favorite on the show. He says Eric Landy said, "Row, drink. It's the Pucknology After Dark drinking game."
Of course. We won't talk about the drinking game, mainly because
Middle of the afternoon.
it's middle of the afternoon, and well, if you're, I take that back. You probably watched football. By the way, those of you who enjoyed that 49ers game, I'm sorry. Ouch. Looking further into it, we go on Tuesday night against Columbus. It is the debut of the proverbial heritage jerseys, which I cannot wait to see these guys break out onto the ice. I have one suggestion. For the sake of my sanity, please skate out to get ready for this by 2 Unlimited to just go in with the whole heritage jersey night.
And do that jersey proud. Win
please.
the darn game.
Win the game, win it handily, and give her the hint to just ditch the frickin' black armor.
For sure.
Randall, you have been with the obviously you have ties to the team since you were born. In fact, show off your shirt that you have on right now.
So this is the first playoff run, the Western Conference semifinals, and you can see Sharks Maple Leafs in the Western Conference. Urbe mask against the great. I don't think that was Cujo. I think that must have been the.
That was Felix
That might have been Felix Poppin. And their big score was, I believe it was Gary Roberts, for the Maple Leafs that year.
Roberts, Gilmore, Clark.
Yeah, exactly. That was the team that lost to the Kings in the conference finals by Gretzky when they went to lose to Montreal.
No, they eventually lost to Vancouver.
Yeah, that was the year before.
That's right.
They lost to Brett Hedican in the Vancouver Canucks.
That's right.
Just talk about some of your memories that you remember from being around with the Sharks.
Yeah, so actually my family and we originally lived in Chicago, and for the first with the Cal Palace years in the first season in San Jose Arena, my family was living in Chicago. My mom was working out there, and my dad was commuting between the Bay Area and Chicago. We then moved out to the Bay Area and been going to games my entire life, season ticket holder. We had the same seats. We have to pay for our seats, but we just we're guaranteed every year. We're gonna have the same spot, and they hook us up a little bit. But I've been going to games essentially every home game since I was in 6th grade, except for the 2 years I did live in New York City and go to school out there. But growing up, my favorite player was Jeff Friesen, and I'm gonna try and tweet a picture of this later. I had in my bedroom, we had a professional come and paint a mural of Jeff Friesen skating in San Jose Arena on the ice with the puck. There's fans behind him, and Friesen, Marlowe, and Andy Sutton, as a favorite of my dad, came over and signed my wall one night and played air hockey with my brother and I, and it was just a really cool night. and I had sharks swimming above my head on the ceiling. And I'm being dead serious here. I had so many dreams being eaten by sharks. It's just ridiculous. Like not even trying to be funny. That legitimately happened. And just kind of moving forward, I worked in the locker rooms, like I said, from 2007 till about 2011. And like I said, I was in the away locker room, so I was working for every team the Sharks played against. But I liked that more because I was able to see all the players that came into that arena. So I've been in the locker room and seen every player's pregame, routine, and just seeing what the vibe is and just how the team interacts right before a game. And I've seen some pretty big games, and right where I watch the game is where the away team steps on the ice. So if you can think of any of the playoff games that happened between 2007 and 2011, I mean, there was some big series in there that I was very privileged to be able to feel like I was a part of. And, if I can say anything about this game on Tuesday, these heritage jerseys, they're the first jersey I've ever been excited about, a new jersey. Like any jersey that I've said, this is definitely better than the past and maybe the best jersey we've ever had. If you're going to get a player and a number on the back, please let it be a player and a number that actually wore that jersey. Because I went to a game, I can't remember if it was the second or the third home game, and I saw 39, and I wanted to go run up and say, that's awesome, Friesen jersey, and I saw Couture. And, I love Couture, and he's a great player, but I was so infuriated that I told this fan to go return the jersey and to get it fixed. Because if it's 39, it better say Jeff Friesen. I think Urban might have even wore 39. It better be a number and a jersey. If you're going to get Marlowe, it has to be 14. I think he might have worn that jersey 1 year.
If there was a way to make an exception to the rule to let Marlowe wear 14 when he's in that jersey, that would be so awesome.
As a team that doesn't have a lot of history, this is the first time we've ever been able to do this and say we're vintage and we have a little heritage and history. Let's take advantage of it and let's honor the guys that did wear that jersey, because every other team's able to do it. And then I think it's our turn. Enjoy it. Don't use a player that you could get on any other jersey. Even if you're a newer fan, 10, 11, 12 years old, don't know guys like Pat Falloon or didn't know that Jimmy Baker scored the biggest goal in Sharks history. Do a little history and look up some of the guys that wore that jersey: Sergei Makarov, Igor Larionov, Sandis Ojelins, Mike Vernon,
Ratchy.
No, don't pick Ratchy. That's fine.
Don't pick Floon either, for that matter.
No, see, and if you are a viewer of the show, you know that my biggest Sharks crush, I guess you could call it, was Ray Whitney.
Yeah, Whitney.
Whitney would be the one I would get. Wink, wink, hint, hint. If my girlfriend is watching, there's a Christmas birthday idea. Sorry, lady, go on.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna say, and don't show up to the tank with a Timu Solani jersey, please.
Oh gosh.
Please don't.
Well, he never wore that jersey. He wore the one right after.
No, he wore the other one, but yeah. I just I cringe at seeing that jersey.
That's like getting a Brian Campbell jersey.
Oh.
Well, so now this has turned into jerseys after dark.
Bill Guerin.
Well, in that case.
Bill Guerin, the biggest shark killer of all time, wears teal.
What'd you guys think of the Avalanche Heritage jersey today?
Or their third jersey?
That was Heritage?
Well, kind of. It's
kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit.
That was like the Colorado Rockies old logo, right?
Right. They kind of modernized the Rockies logo and kind of put it on a different palette, but
I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it was okay. I like how it was a nice touch. They went with navy and maroon more so than they have in the past. I didn't mind it. I'm not quite sure on the white shoulders.
I don't know. I hated the white shoulders.
Yeah, me too.
As a jersey and logo dork, by the way, thank you, Terry Smith, for inspiring me. There's something about it that I just wish it would be a little bit better.
So, the Sharks jersey, the best thing about the new one is that there's absolutely no orange in it. And that's
right.
So the Sharks and the Avalanche are kind of in the same boat, where the Sharks have a rare color as in teal, where no other team really has that, and the Avalanche has like a maroon type of purple, where no other team really does that. And I think that's something that you should really use to your advantage when you're making these alternative jerseys, because I don't know if they used that orange originally because they wanted to have an orange jersey in the future, but I can confidently say that Ducks fans prefer their Mighty Duck old jerseys rather than the orange and brown. And granted, part of that wasn't their choice, but they have a new alternate this year where they have some of the old Mighty Duck stuff on it, and
So
I
it's
dig
got
it.
the orange. It's got the orange and black jersey with the Mighty Ducks logo on it, and it looks pretty clean actually.
I dig
Yeah,
it. I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
if you have to use the colors, I mean, at least the mask is there.
The biggest travesty in my mind, though, was getting rid of the gray in the Shark jersey. If they would have incorporated the gray back into the next wave jersey or whatever that we have now, like a gray bar, kind of like the original jersey, I thought that would be pretty cool. I don't like the fact that we don't see a lot of gray in our jersey anymore, though, because I remember that thing right there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that part was because, that would make it look almost identical, and they want people to buy this one because they want it to be very clear which one's the new one, and that's why the shade of teal is even a little different, because they want it to stand out different than the original one.
And I actually really like how it pops the logo out in the deep Pacific teal as opposed to the original one. I just think it looks really solid on there.
By the way, did you guys talk about the hockey news story of the Sharks?
I bought that edition, so it's going in a frame.
So
I need an extra copy of that, by the way. If anybody has an
is everybody familiar? Everybody's familiar with it, though, of course, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So most people are saying how it's bullshit and all this stuff, but if it was the greatest logo of all time, then yeah, the Sharks shouldn't have got it. But I think the fact that they did recognize it's the greatest jersey because it had the teal and it was so different than any other team, and other than that Kings black and silver, where the whole Raiders thing was kind of giving them sales, like so many people bought Sharks jerseys and started following them when they first started just solely because of the teal and with the Shark. I mean, it's so different than any other hockey jersey before that one. So it's kind of cool to recognize that.
I have two separate friends. One is a big soccer fan, and he was in the Bay Area, doing tech stuff, and really didn't follow the Sharks at all. But he says when he remembers when that teal jersey came out, and how everybody just flocked to it, and it was just such the coolest thing. You'd never seen it before, and he's like, man, 25 years of that? It's like he couldn't believe it, and it's just like he said when that came around, it was such a industry shaker. And then the second one is I have a friend who was on the Navy base in Guam, and when that jersey came out, he immediately got one of those Letterman jackets with that jersey color and the shark logo on the front.
It was like teal and it had black arms, right?
Yeah, and he was like, man, I just love that color and that logo. And it's just like two separate people, one guy from England who was in the Bay Area at the time, the second guy in Guam. I mean, these are like opposite ends of the earth, and they find this jersey and they think it's so cool. I mean, that just shows you how much it moved the NHL whole logo and jersey sphere.
11-year-old me, I mean, that was a big factor in 11-year-old me saying, oh, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to cheer for my team. I'm going to be my own dog. What's a time zone? Yeah, definitely played a factor.
Taylor Swift, 4 or 5 years ago when she came to San Jose, she whipped out her own Sharks original jersey with her last name on it, and she didn't look too bad in that jersey either.
You'd have to fight Brody over that one. I remember when he tweeted that out. He had such a huge crush. For that matter, Gentry.
He just got married, actually.
I know. Amanda's awesome.
Yeah.
She's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Gentry, if you're watching, another contributor to our show, Gentry Alexander, massive crush on Taylor Swift. The second I showed that to him, he's like, oh. I mean, like total pitter patter, but
Hey, I hear she's single again, Gentry.
By the way, I know I didn't mention this earlier, but just a little bit more background on me. I had my own podcast a couple years ago during the playoffs. It was very minimal. I just kind of recorded and said my own thing. And just for you fans that might have recognized me from back then, I did it during one of the playoff runs, and I did it post the away games because I was usually at the home games. And I've interned at Comcast Sportsnet, so I was there for a summer working behind the scenes doing all the editing. And I was at 95.7 The Game radio station for a full year. I was doing primarily the Bucher Townie Huff show during that summer, and then going into after Huff left and then Bucher left. So I'm really familiar with all these broadcasters in the Bay Area, and that's really what I'm interested in doing. It's not like my dad does it, and I just kind of tag along and just sort of do that. I do sit with him every home game, and I do wear the headphones and listen to the producer and just sort of get a feel of how to broadcast a game. But this is something that I'm adamantly passionate about, and I have done some of the work. I haven't got paid for any of my internships, and I know a lot about other sports too. So, if anybody's really interested in talking about other sports too, I'm a big baseball guy, big basketball. But if you even come at me about football, I won't even respond. So,
95.7. All I'm gonna say is hire this guy and let him talk about hockey for a majority of the time, because your ratings will boost up, guaranteed.
the brand new station manager is from Canada, so
Right?
we
He
actually
came from Sportsnet 590, so I was thinking, wink, wink, hint, hint.
they haven't. The one thing, they haven't changed any of the lineups yet, which is what they did all the time. They changed the shows all
Right.
the time, and he's kind of waiting for the first time that he's going to do it to be a big thing. And they haven't really been hiring much lately. But that's the industry that I want to get involved in. But radio is not the future. Podcast, live stream, that is the future. YouTube Red, that's kind of scary though. But anyways, yeah, this is what I want to do for my future. So I appreciate you guys having me on today though.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Oh, of course, and you
No
are
problem.
more than welcome to enjoy that at any time, or enjoy us and enjoy. I can't talk today. Oh my God, you guys got me all flustered with Jersey talk, and this is what happens.
You want to be more flustered with Jersey talk? Because Generation X Wing asked if he could get a Belfour.
Belfour jersey. Yeah, I just was gonna say that.
Oh my God. That's the worst one you could possibly get right there.
Right? No, just no, just no.
Ben Eager, no, he didn't even wear that jersey.
or like you said, Brian Campbell, for that matter.
Brian, fuck.
And let me ask you this, and Randall, I'll let you go first since you were there from what 07 to 2011, you said.
So my first playoff series, because I started maybe 3 games before the playoffs started, we lost to Detroit in the second round after we beat Nashville in the first. So I think that might have been 06, 07.
Yep.
And then my last playoff series was when we beat Detroit in the second round, and we lost in the third round to Vancouver.
What was in that time? What was your favorite moment out of those 4 seasons?
It was like 4 and change seasons. Well, it kind of depends what kind of moment you're talking about. Like a moment in the away room or something that has to do with the Sharks, or like like
just
a memory.
your favorite moment or favorite game when you were there.
Okay. Okay. So one game, there's a regular season game. It was maybe my second year there. It was my sophomore year, and there was a game in January. It was home against the Red Wings, and this game had so much hype. It was sold out from the beginning of the season, and it had all come down to the point where whoever won that one game was in first place in the Western Conference during the regular season. I think the Red Wings might have beat us the season before. I think it might have even been one of our first years with McClellan.
Yeah. It was
It was a real high-scoring game.
Yeah.
It was a 6-5 finale. The Sharks had 2 back-to-back goals. Mahalik and Marlowe breakaway where they blocked a shot like in the defensive zone. They came down. They scored those big goals.
Mhm.
That game right there was just being able to witness it where I was and being in the other team's locker room. Or the playoffs are always big too, because I mean you're in there during. It's very, very different in the locker room between a regular season and a playoff. Some teams wouldn't even allow us to be anywhere near the locker room. There was
Really?
there was 3 of us down there. So technically we would wear NHL shirts and NHL stuff, but they knew that the Sharks provided our services, but we worked primarily for that team. Some teams would want our help because if you need anything around the arena that the Shark side might have that the away team doesn't have access to, like maybe you need Red Bull or you need another stationary bike, we do work for the referees and the away team, and they have their lines set up in their locker room. I mean, you're walking in and out of their place where they're talking about the game. Guys are getting work done medically. Some teams don't want you anywhere near that. Edmonton was always the most stingy and the most like not wanting any part of our help no matter what. They would just say, you guys don't have to work tonight. You could just enjoy yourself. But one playoff game, just just a crazy, not necessarily the best moment, but just like crazy to see how this player is. Anaheim had just taken 2-0 series lead against us when we were the 1 seed, they were the 8 seed, and they won the second game in San Jose.
Right.
I mean, interviewers and reporters get to go into the locker room 10 minutes after the game. And, these guys have just had a war, and they're just cooling down, they're undressing, they're about to get ready to go to the next, to fly home essentially. And, right when the period starts, our job is to clean up the locker room of trash and stuff. So when they get back, all that stuff's out of the way. But the one rule with Pronger is that you don't touch anything in his stall no matter what. If it's empty, if it's trash, if it's anything, you don't touch it. And when the third period starts, we have to start getting the bags out and putting all the other workout stuff in their bags. And throughout the process, somebody had thrown away a water bottle that had some powder in it that had maybe 1 sip left. And there's 20 full bottles left in the fridge. But the game ends, and they're up 2-0, going home as the 8 seed, and the interviews are in there. He turns off the music, grabs the water bottle that's in the trash, holds it up with the reporters and everybody in the room. Who the threw away my drink? And some guys are just like laughing, just like prongs, like one buddy, he's like, no. Who touched my stuff? Anybody who's not affiliated with this club, leave this locker room right now. One by one, everybody's walking out, reporters and everything. Door closes, night's over.
Fuck Pronger. I fucking hate that guy.
They're up 2-0.
He's such a piece of shit.
They're up 2-0 going home.
I can't stand that guy.
And he's still in the mindset where it's war, and but that's why everybody loves him, because he took the game so seriously, and the fact that his career ended the way it did is actually really sad.
No, I think yeah. You know what? To me, he got what was coming to him, and yeah, you know what?
I mean, he did go out and headhunt a lot for his career. I think it was more evident towards the later years. Like, he did that more when he was with St. Louis, but I think when he was more in like Edmonton and then Anaheim and then Philly, I think he was just more of a guy in the locker room, like the type of guy who takes the puck once the Stanley Cup final game's over, that the home team just won. They're going to want to keep the puck, and he takes it home for himself. Like, that's just the type of guy he was at the end of his career. But I can definitely see where you say, he had a big injury coming his way that could have cost him a big part of his career, and it did, but he's still getting paid.
Right.
No, I agreed, but I mean, like, I just felt like there was so many indiscretions that he got away with, kind of like Dustin Brown, where it's just like, you know what, Captain Karma's going to come around and bite you really hard. And
I really hope it does. I mean, he's the one player that's hated unanimously amongst the NHL. Like, he doesn't respect anybody, and players will even say that. Like, Corey Perry, he pisses Sharks fans off. Like, Corey Perry is arguably one of the most hated players by Sharks fans. But even Sharks players will say that they respect him because of the game he plays. He doesn't go out there and try and take out the rookie's knee when he's having a promising start, like.
Right. No. But like Perry has respect for the game, and Getzlaf has respect for the game, and I don't mind their playing, and yeah, you hate them because they're good, and you hate them because you'd want them on your team.
Ty Domi respected the game.
Right.
Yeah, but they respected the game.
Yeah, Perry respects the game. He's an agitator. He's not one that takes it over the edge and gets cheap-shotted. Just like this one. Somehow, I'm still mind-boggled to this day, how a hit to the head, especially when it's using your own head, something similar that a former Shark did 20 years ago and got suspended for in a fight, albeit this is a different circumstance, that this got no penalty, no suspension, no fine.
I
basically just called it a legal hit.
Yeah.
Brown's gotten away with so much, I really don't understand much of it. I feel like in his circumstance, the night before, the East Coast guys went to bed early and they didn't care about anything else that happened in the West Coast that night. It just really feels that way. But, something's going to get coming to him, like what happened to
Pronger.
No, I'm trying to remember the guy who took out Mark Savard. Matt Cook. Evander Kane freaking rocked him in a fight. I don't know if you guys seen that fight before, where Evander Kane just one punch knocked him out lying cold, kind of like when Brad Staubitz took Jordan Tutu to the shed house.
Yeah.
That was the best fight I ever witnessed working down there. Just the amount of blood that was lost from Tutu that night, but then the fact that he's sitting right there getting stitched up, saying, "Hurry up, I want to go back out there." I mean, that's the type of thing I loved. Yeah.
That fight, along with the Scott Thornton Yuri Fisher fight, were probably my two favorite fights in Sharks history.
My first full season, Craig Rivet took out R.J. Umberger in a fight, and R.J. Umberger's coming off the ice and he's bleeding, and some fan yells, "You suck!" and R.J. Umberger just stops in his tracks and he looks up at the kid. He's just bleeding from his face. He's like, "Why don't you go out there and do it then for your living?"
Yeah.
And then he just walks away, and I was just like, "Wow." I was honestly like 14 years old when I first started working there. I was just really tall. I was 6'2" when I was 14, so I looked older than I was. I mean, Paul Kariya's walking through, he's 5'6". I'm like looking down at him. But I mean, I was a young kid, experienced a lot for the first time. My third game ever, I fell on my ass for an NBC televised game after QQ scored a hat trick. They changed the goal during intermission, and then they announced it, so the hats were thrown out right when the period started. And they told me to not let go of the bucket, and I let go of the bucket at the very end, and I fell, and I was live on NBC, and it was recorded and everything.
Well, that takes care of what your most embarrassing moment was. All right. Well, as much as we are having fun, definitely, Randall, we got to have you back on because I love hearing these stories. You know, the history of the Sharks has been, you know, well documented, and kind of have an inside perspective with you is very cool. So when you are free, you're welcome to come on at any time. I know AJ's was dying to have you on when we talked about having you on for a podcast. So by all means.
And if I have one last thing to say, you know, it's regarding the attendance. Really, I mean, I've seen preseason games that have more fans at the game at it lately, and to be honest, it's honestly really upsetting just being a fan, being at these games and seeing how many empty seats there are. And you got to put into a factor that the Warriors are doing well, and honestly, right now people would rather spend money to go to a 5-game Warrior than a 20-game Shark. The Sharks did blow a series against LA and then not go to the playoffs. So yeah, there are a lot of fans that didn't renew season tickets, and it's understandable why some fans might be sick and tired of this team. But I think this is the time right now, especially while we're not doing great, where the fans that really are passionate and do care do stand up and be heard, go to the games, still support the team, maybe even do a little bit more than what you normally would have done, because this team has provided a lot of good hockey and a lot of good memories for us for the last 10 years being in playoff runs. Yeah, we haven't won a cup or been to a cup, but there have been plenty of games where you're at the tank and you're going home and you're like, that was the best sporting event I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And I think that's just evident because I think this team, once Couture is healthy and once they do get a feel for one each other and the coach, and they just everyday routine is normal at that point, I think this is going to be a scary team to contend, and really this might be the last chance that we have with the core guys that we have. Definitely. So thanks again for having me, guys. I really had a good time, and I would love to come on anytime.
Definitely, we'll have you back for sure. We'll go around with well, I have a couple of tweets I need to get to. We hit up Pronger and it started up stuff. Laurel Pitter tweeted, has said always hated Pronger. AJ Strong had even tweeted it. Any player who stomps in the back of a guy's leg with his skate is a piece of not even up for debate. I'm right with you on that one.
Chris Simon as well.
Yeah. Oh yes, very true.
And the aforementioned Matt Cook.
Yeah, but Pronger was he was a dirty elite player though, whereas these guys are just, that's all they had going for them.
Takes Evan to the Cup, demands a trade because his wife hates Canada and wants to go to the Sun, goes to Anaheim, takes him to a Cup. Fuck it, I mean, Tebow couldn't win him a Cup for how many years, then Pronger comes in and they win a Cup. I mean, it's just so sick. It was awful.
We also got something from Slushy Jake as well. He says, "What about Torres and the hit on Mahalik?"
That's true.
Now Torres, as a Shark player, I kind of feel like we all have an obligation to try and hear him out. But as an opponent player, I don't think he has respect for the game. If I was rooting for any other team, I felt like he doesn't respect the game.
No, he got what he deserved. Rafi Torres got what he deserved. I know that not a popular opinion in San Jose, but you infract that many times, and this is what happens.
Yeah, it was retarded. I mean, he sat out the entire year last year when they kept saying, "Oh, he's gonna be back by Christmas. He's gonna be back in 2 weeks." He sat out the entire season. The team still gave him a chance when he's not even a big scoring guy, but he had a good presence on our team. They gave him the chance. They kept giving him, and then his first time he gets a shot in preseason, you're getting a 40-plus game suspension. Like, come on, like that's just ridiculous. And yeah, you know, I'm excited for him to come back, but that just shows you really don't care about this game. I mean,
Yeah.
It's interesting too that you mentioned like the games missed and everything. So by the time Melker Carlson gets back by San Jose time, it's probably be like 2019. Just saying.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hang on. There you go.
So don't expect Couture back till February.
That's right.
Well, the same thing with Half-Life. Oh, it's only gonna be out 8 weeks. He'll be fine. Yeah. We have one last tweet. This one's very important. It's from NHL Ties, and he asks, "How is Randall Hahn's tie game?"
Ooh, good question.
you know, I haven't been involved in the tie game for a couple months, but you know, when I do show a tie, it has to be on par. I mean, my father does have a reputation, and I can't be dragging that name through the mud. You know, I mean, I know eyes are on me in that regard.
At least you're not one of the Remenda children, because then they'd be like the saviors of all tiedom.
There's no competition. That's honestly why I wasn't too upset with Drew having to leave. But those guys are great. I mean, I grew up with them, so.
Oh, with Davis and Donovan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my dad, Drew, were legitimate friends off the ice. And, I mean, it sucked when he had to leave. And, you know, I mean, it's not like we couldn't say we didn't see it coming, but the fact that we blew a series lead and the guy they fired was the color commentator.
Priorities.
That summer was a very, very tough summer. Drew,
yeah,
on...
I would have said it was the worst any team has treated the Bay Area fans until the Niners did this last
season.
Right?
So, yeah. Well, I mean, this franchise basically said, yeah, we hate our fans, so we're going to do whatever we can to just piss them off and just, like, not have any sort of good season. I just don't understand how they could have possibly felt like they were going to have a competing team. But when it came down, it was either fire the coach or fire the quarterback, and I think they made the wrong decision, and they're going to realize that in the next 10 years.
Definitely.
But anyways, that's football, and I don't care about football.
All right, Eric, take us home.
To wrap it all up, the Sharks do win 4-3 over the Colorado Avalanche. What is going on over there? Ian, are you having too much fun over there?
I just have too much noise in the background. I apologize.
All good. All right. I was like, what in the world? Sharks won 4-3 over the Colorado Avalanche. The next game is Tuesday night, Heritage Jersey night.
Against Columbus, and not LA or Detroit or the Ducks or the Canucks. Nope, we're going to play Columbus in our Heritage jerseys.
Right. Well, I hope the Blue Jackets break out their neon bugger, throwback jerseys.
And the Penguins as well when we play them with our jerseys. It just makes total sense.
Fat Penguin. I like the Fat Penguin.
Kessel? Oh, my bad. Anyways, Tuesday night, Sharks take on the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's at 7:30. You can watch it, of course, on Comcast Sportsnet California. But, of course, enjoy us after the game for another edition of Pucknology After Dark. So there was some controversy, so let me make sure I get this right.
For AJ Strong.
Gentry Alexander, Rocket Backhander, Wendell, Ian Reed, Eric Landy, the lovely and talented Randall Hahn.
One last comment. I will be at the game on Tuesday, and I will be taking pictures of any jerseys that should not be worn at that game. Whether they are the new jerseys or whether they are like current newer jerseys with the wrong player on the back, that night should be reserved for the new Heritage jerseys or the vintage jerseys. So I will be posting the worst jerseys I see that night.
And what medium can we expect those pictures? Twitter? Instagram?
Yeah. The majority of them will be on Twitter. I might post the best one on Instagram. The username that you guys posted for me, Honner, that's HAHNNERR. That's my username for Twitter and Instagram, and then my Facebook's Randall Hahn. I'm never on Facebook, but you can. If you even see any great jerseys, tweet them out to me, and we'll make sure that we get a good list of them going, so we can prevent that from happening the next time we wear these Heritage jerseys.
Okay, one sec. Hang on. Am I committing a jersey foul with this one then?
Absolutely not. That's the vintage jersey. As long as you got that jersey on, you're fine. That's not the new one, right?
No.
Yeah, that's the original. The original is fine. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten a stupid name on the back of that one. But yeah, if you're wearing the new vintage jerseys and you're wearing a player's name that's either like Ed Belfour or
Oh
like
God, no! I don't think that'll happen.
like yeah, or I just can't even think of just enough bad names for the back of that jersey. But if it's anybody that's with a number that could have been somebody in the past, like a 39 Couture that should have been Friesen, like that's as bad as it can get, in my opinion.
So are we suggesting Jeff Friesen's 39 should be retired?
Absolutely not. No. The first number retired by the Sharks should be number 11 or number 12.
Thank you.
And I mean, 19 should be too, but I mean, 12 played his whole freaking career here.
Right.
I mean, but if there's, I don't even want to start because I'll just keep going about Marlowe. That's for another episode.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Amy, I'm on my way. Till next time, and Randall, don't tell your dad I'm stealing this tagline. Keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it real fresh.
Oh,
Have a good night.